Welcome back. It is a Frankless Friday today on Liquid Lunch on Newsmax TV. I'm John Tobacco. We're coming to you today from the downtown studios. Yes, we made it. We're on Broadway. And we're in the Question Tequila studios as we are every day, noon to 2 Eastern, coming to you live from downtown Manhattan. And before getting into our next segment, we'll just check in at the New York Stock Exchange just down the street. The Dow continuing to run to the upside. It is still in the green, up 222 points, which is a nice way to end the week. You know, we've been talking about 27,000 as the next resistance level, and we may need to pop through there and stay there for a little while to regain that support level. And Bitcoin today down just a little bit at 8,100, but I think anything above 8,000, we're stabilized and we're fine. And stabilizing the show on this Frankless Friday, joining me now is Fernando Uribe. And you're an educator. You're a community college professor. You're the host of a 2-time award-winning podcast, Talk on the Hudson. And there's a lot of craziness going on right now, Fernando, on our college campuses. My daughter Victoria is 20 years old. She's a junior in Wagner College, and they just had a big incident on their campus. Are these liberal professors making the campuses toxic?
Well, John, first of all, thanks for having me on the show.
My pleasure.
One of the things that really concerns me as an educator working in academia is the idea that liberal college professors are indeed not making probably the most productive learning environment for students. And whether it's your daughter or my students that I teach at Bergen Community College, I'm always concerned because one of the things about teaching the social sciences and also in the humanities is that, for the most part, faculty tend to be overtly left. And I'm a guy that's very sort of center-right. I can embrace some conservative positions. I can embrace some progressive positions. But you wouldn't know that in the class. But you wouldn't know that in the classroom because my job is to teach. It's not to indoctrinate. And I think what's happening, not just in New Jersey, but around the country, is that academia has become so toxified because of liberalism. And again, I'm not here to sort of paint with a broad brush and say all liberals are bad and what they're doing in college campuses are bad.
We can't do that. We can't do that.
But I'll tell you right now, in the social sciences and humanities, it's becoming problematic because students aren't learning. They're being indoctrinated and brainwashed. And is this what you as a parent and parents everywhere are sending their kids to?
No. Look, you know, my daughter's, Victoria's in a nursing program at Wagner College, a fantastic nursing program. But when all's said and done, this is like $50,000 or $60,000 a year. And you would hope that whatever the students' politics are or their parents are wouldn't affect their whole future when you're paying almost $250,000 to put a kid in college these days. And my experience is my daughter started in Seton Hall University, which is, you know, a Catholic-based university in New Jersey, and I bought her a Trump T-shirt, like a girl's T-shirt, when I was at the Republican National Convention. I brought him back. And she told me she wore it on campus and she felt like she was getting some really strange looks. She's like, I can't wear the shirt anymore.
What's
funny
about academia and sort of college campuses, John, is the idea that, you know, liberal professors or those on the left sort of scream from the rooftops that liberalism is all about tolerance. It's all about sort of respecting people's point of view. Right. The problem is that in academia specifically, it's not about tolerating people's point of view. It's about tolerating what you like to hear.
Yeah, well, they're all for tolerance.
As long as it's what they hear.
Until it's not what they like. So then they're the least tolerant. And, you know, I would say it trickles in, but it's more than trickled. It's an avalanche now into society overall. Like you said something great before. You know, just because I don't agree with liberals doesn't mean I think they're wrong on every point.
Sure.
Right? And our audience on this show, I know you told me you tuned in once in a while, but we're trying to talk to not the crazy reds and the crazy blues, the people in the middle of those two, which I refer to as the purple people, you know?
Sure.
I'm an amateur painter. If you put a little red and blue together, you get a nice shade of purple, right? And the purple people are not even represented. Like, you could be socially liberal and fiscally conservative.
Absolutely.
And I think more often than not, that's probably a larger section of the country than the fringes, but they represent us.
Well, I think also the fact that we live in such a polarizing political climate right now.
Yes.
We really do, whether it's in where I live in New Jersey or here in New York or across the country. And what's really disturbing, though, John, is the idea that liberal college professors are doing a disservice to students in one of two ways. One, for the most part, most college students tend to be liberal anyway. So if they're just sort of interacting with each other and sort of in this sort of hunky-dory mentality of that everything's great because of liberal point of views, well, the problem is they're not learning the other side. and then they become, and then secondly, they're ill-prepared when they graduate from college to go into the real world and defend their
Oh,
views.
you don't have to tell me that. Take a look at my whole staff over there. You see all these guys? They're just,
Absolutely.
you know, out of college, younger, you know, they're from a different generation. Nico doesn't even know how to tell time. He's out of college like 3-4 years.
I mean, it's really frustrating, John, and also in the last
He shows
part-
up late, so I'm bothering him
well,
about
it happens.
not
I mean,
telling
the
time.
one thing that's really challenging about this, John, and it's the fact that, again, parents like yourself and all around the country pay hundreds of thousands of dollars when it's all said and done for tuition, books, room and board, and they're sending their kids off hopefully with this aim of learning, and they're not. They're being indoctrinated. And to your point about independents, I mean, independents make up a large portion of registered voter rolls.
Without question.
And the thing is, though, that again, when they go to college campuses, I mean, listen, I saw some stats here from a professor at Sarah Lawrence College, upstate New York. You know, liberal college students outnumber their conservative classmates by a margin of 12-1. That's a large margin to overcome for conservative students. And again, it's not about being left or right. It's about, I think, being reasonable, about being moderate. I'm a moderate person. I'm a registered independent. Can I vote for a Democrat if they're reasonable? Absolutely. Can I vote for a Republican if they're reasonable? Absolutely. But I don't like radicalism. And radicalism has been infiltrating academia for more than 40 years.
No doubt. And that's at the core. It's not like just a slogan that we're using for the show. That's at the core of what we're talking about, that the bold reds and the bold blues are the zealots. And most of us, you know, whichever one we're closer to, we have to kind of cling to that body. But most of Americans are way closer than that. We get polarized by our parties, and they don't even want us to organize. And that's why there is no third party. I'm not registered in any party. I'm a blank. That's what they call you in New York. If you're not registered in any party, you're a blank. So I don't know. They might in New York. I think they might have added blank to birth certificates too. It's not very flattering.
No, it's not. And one thing, John, I'll see too, and I appreciate you having me on the program today. But what I really want to convey to the audience is that, again, listen, we go to college and we get an education for the purposes of enlightening ourselves, for, you know, learning a major, pursuing a career. But the one thing that really I think that I challenge my students on is embrace all points of view at all times.
I don't ring the bell a lot on the show, but when I agree with a guest, then I ring the bell. So,
Thank you,
and it's
John.
your first time on, which I usually ring it anyway. So, what are your observations on these other networks? You know, they have these talking heads. They probably haven't stepped foot on a campus in decades, but they're talking about how great it is to go to UCLA or something. You're at the community college level. You're there, you're talking to students, you're feeling the vibe. Like, is there anything, you must be outnumbered. Is there anything people can do? Because I feel like you're almost afraid to be not a liberal on a college campus.
Sure. Well, again, I take a lot of pride in being someone who's, again, embraces some conservative positions and some progressive positions. But my students wouldn't know it. I mean, unless they Google me and search my social media, then they can kind of decipher where I stand. But the reality is that my job is to teach, John. And I think a lot of professors, not just in the New York metropolitan area, but across the country, they're just into indoctrination. And that's not teaching. Like, anyone can go up there and bloviate and be someone that can attempt to brainwash students. You're not doing your occupation a service. And I don't want to do that. I've been teaching, full-time at Bergen Community for some time. I've taught at other colleges throughout New Jersey. At the end of the day, it's not about my opinions. It's about me able to teach the material and the students learning it.
That's, and I just want to point out, my daughter got a scholarship, a partial scholarship.
That's fantastic.
So I don't have to pay that whole amount.
Oh,
And
it's
thank
expensive.
God for her and her mom, who's also a great educator. But I want to thank you for coming down and giving the other point of view. And come on
Thank you,
down
John.
anytime you want. Anything's happening in the academia, bring us some news.
I'll gladly come back whenever you want me.
Well, thank you very much. Fernando
Thank you, John.
Uribe joins us on a Frankless Friday. And you would think, like, a Friday and Frank's not around, he usually gets the best guests. But it's a Friday and we still get great guests. So even though Nico comes in late, he must be doing something right in Frank's absence. We're going to take a quick break right now. Do not go anywhere, because after this, no, she's not a small, no, she's not a large, she's a medium. Elena Servideo Schwinn is going to be here right after this to read the future for us. You're watching Liquid Lunch.